everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jenny Wolf with the Cambodian Institute of Directors. We're back again following one of our monthly webinars. This month, we were very fortunate to have our Lunch and Learn with Ms. Sovachani Pang, who is the founder and managing partner of Davies Law Firm here in Phnom Penh. You can find out more about Vachani and about her law firm. You can visit their website at Davies, that's DAVIES SM-attorneys.com. I want to get right down to it, though, Vachani, and thank you for being here with us. Your expertise has been so helpful to us along the way. And as I said, we just finished this full webinar, which people can access. Your PowerPoint on our website, the Cambodian Institute of Directors. But can you tell me what are some of the major issues, or maybe what is the major issue that you see come up again and again with your clients in terms of staying legal?
Yes, thank you very much for the question, and thanks for having me today, Ginny. It's my pleasure to share my insights on the topic. So one of the common questions that we see most of the time, there are three situations. First is some companies, they come to register in Cambodia, and they don't know that there are post-compliance obligations after they register. So they just, after registration, they don't do much. Some may just do tax compliance and they forget about everything else. And once after the authorities go to check and find them, they just realize, but it's a bit late. So that's one situation. Another situation is that some companies might not comply with everything because they don't know that this compliance obligation exists. As you can see in my first part, I covered most of the general compliance obligations for private limited companies. So there's a lot. So before 2020,
there was a lot.
Yeah, before 2020, there was less. Mainly, it was just with tax authority, Ministry of Commerce, and labor authorities. But after 2021, with the introduction of the ACA authority, the ACA obligation, which they expand the accounting report to all registered entities in Cambodia. So that's when you see an increase in compliance obligations, which also extends to accounting. So many of our clients come to ask us why there's two authorities, tax and accounting, which they're very similar. But that's some kind of cross and check balance, which was introduced to check on one authority, check on another.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that's the reason that was set up, because I know it's fairly new and it has caused a lot of confusion for companies along the way. So it's good that they have you there to straighten them out.
Yeah.
So in the webinar, you also discussed at some length tax liabilities, which and you talked about potential damages for the company, but mainly what are the dangers for C-suite executives and board of directors. And you talked about piercing the corporate veil. Could you talk to us a little more about that?
Yes, sure. So most people think that if you incorporate a private limited company, so management, particularly the shareholders, won't be liable for the company's obligation. That's general corporate law. But in Cambodia, as well as other Western countries, there is one concept that is an exception to this limited liability principle, which is generally called piercing the corporate veil, where you hold the management, shareholders, or directors personally liable for the breaches of the company. So as you can see, during my discussion, I have looked at various situations under various Cambodian laws on when shareholders and directors could be personally liable for the liabilities of the companies. As you can see, there's under labor law, there's under corporate law, civil code, criminal code, and a lot. But one situation that I really want to emphasize is under the tax law. So as you can see under the discussion, we have covered Article 214 and 215. That is quite controversial, recently introduced by the new tax law in 2023. So if you look at Article 215, you can see that one of the implication is that shareholders can be liable for the debt of the company. So in situations where new shareholders, they just buy in the company in the event there's mergers and acquisitions. Say, for example, put it simply, you saw my company, you like my company, and you want to buy my company. And say, for example, it costs 100,000. So you think, okay, you buy my company, you are only limited by the capital that you're part of the registered capital. But in fact, with the introduction of 215, that's not the case. When you come in to my company, you will be liable for all the tax liabilities which were accumulated by my company. So this is very, so with this provision, you have to be very careful. When you want to buy an existing company or you want to merge a company where at the end of the day, you become the shareholder of the company, you have to ensure that the tax status is very clean. You need to do tax due diligence. Otherwise, you will be liable for all of them.
Have you seen this in your experience? Have you seen this happen?
Yes, it does happen, and we see that many chambers of commerce are very concerned about that. Especially the JBAC, Japanese Chamber of Commerce, went to meet with the tax authority many times to try to do something with this provision because it kind of contradicts the limited liability principle.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's very scary, but it's still there. I understand that recently, because of pressures from many Chamber of Commerce, the tax authority are trying to narrow down this provision. Otherwise, it's very scary for you to, it kind of reduce investment because of all these liabilities. And the next question may come, what happens if you buy a company with tax liabilities? So one, they might come after you, freeze your account.
Okay, not good.
Not good. So they can freeze your personal account as the shareholder. And the next thing is it's hard for you to incorporate a new business, incorporate a new company. If you have tax liability in one company in Cambodia, if you incorporate a company to do other businesses, the tax authority might stop you from, they might not approve your application for the next business. And also the other situation where the tax authority is a bit they let the shareholders get away is in case if the shareholders declare bankruptcy. So say, for example, if you have tax liability there and you have no chance of paying that, the tax authority might let you go if you declare the company is bankrupt. But it doesn't work for multinationals. Say, for example, if you have one branch in Cambodia and you declare bankrupt, it's really bad for your reputation worldwide. So we see that even if that declaration of bankruptcy is one option to get around tax liability, still many reputable business, they don't use that option.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense, but that really emphasizes the importance of due diligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me elaborate on one more. Say, for example, in
Yep.
that same situation, you buy 20% of shares in my company, but you are the wealthy businesswoman with a lot of money. So if I owe $2 million of tax debt, they don't care if you just have 20%. They go typically the tax authority may go after the one with deep pockets and make them fully responsible of all the tax liabilities.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually, it makes a lot of sense. So in other words, people need to come talk to you or someone like you before they make any of these decisions, especially if they're new to the kingdom and the kingdom's laws and regulations. So in general terms, when you're speaking to
Yeah,
clients, potential clients, or your friends, what are your
yeah.
top three bits of advice in terms of risk mitigation for companies operating in Cambodia, whether you're new or you've already been here for a while? What are the top three things that you really emphasize with clients?
Okay. So if they are new and they are looking to buy existing company, they want to grow fast, they should be very, very careful with tax liabilities of the existing owners. So one, I suggest that they do tax due diligence to make sure that the company is clean. And actually, as you can see, there are lots of compliance, but currently the tax authority is the most kind of aggressive, strictly enforced. So with other authorities, if you see non-compliance, there's at least easier way to get out of the trouble compared to tax. And for new companies that come to invest start a fresh company, I suggest that they make sure that they are fully aware of all the obligations. So the simplest way, they can just have a look at the presentation that I provided. That would provide them some general knowledge of certain basic compliance, but the level of compliance may vary depending on the activities that that company engage in. So they can build a bit on top of that. And also, in Cambodia, there are quite a number of uncertainties in the law. And in that case, I suggest that when there are any uncertainties, they reach out to clarify with the authorities. And if it's not possible, just get someone that is an expert to address the issues. Because if they think any issue is unclear and they have taken appropriate steps to check with the appropriate people, that will also help them to get away from potential liabilities, personally liable for certain breaches because they have adopted a prudent approach, and this avoids a breach of duty.
Great. Thank you, Vachani. And thank you all for joining us today. This is just a taste of the webinar that Vachani was generous enough to present for us today. We have them on a monthly basis, so you can check out, make sure you stay current by following us on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and you can also check the calendar on our website. I will say that right now our website is being reconstructed, is being redesigned, but all of our presentations will be available there at the Cambodian Institute of Directors, in our resource library, which will be a great, actually, multiple resource library for anyone who's interested in staying up to date on the importance of corporate governance, not just here, but throughout the ASEAN region and globally. So thank you again for joining us.